What's up? We're gonna be working on some art today. You guys excited? Ooh, why is that showing double? That's weird. Oh, wait, hold on. I also need my... this. There we go. Knew I was missing something. How's the volume, guys? Is it too loud or is it too low? Let me know what you think. So we're gonna be working on my senior film. I just need to pull up. Give me a quick second. Let me go find it. Not that one, this one. My one board. So this is for my senior film. It is called We Ignored the Signs. I think I've talked about this on YouTube before, but I am actually now like working on it. I'm about like a minute-ish in. So there's gonna be like a lot of stuff on here that's gonna be done in After Effects. We're not gonna get to any of the video editing part of it in the stream, and there's actually some parts of it that I may have to go and I have to go do off on another computer. So there actually may be a point where I'll need to stop the stream depending on how far through it we go. But for now, we're gonna actually like get started on it. So yeah, that's really it. Oh no, wait. There. Turn off the volume on my iPad. I'm using it as a pseudo chat live watching whatever. Yeah. I meant to stream last week, but could not stream because one of my family members was sick. And honestly, kind of glad I didn't stream because I forgot it was What's Left of Us Friday last week. So it's like a happy little accident. I like watching What's Left of Us live. So let's see. I always have to go back and copy this message. You guys want to see some weird shit? Boom. Oh wait, you can't really see it. Boom. I made a font. This is my alien font. It's, how do I describe this? This is for my film. I made an alien font, and once you realize how I bullshitted making this font, then you're gonna be like, that's, not as weird looking as it does, look like at the moment. And yeah, I agree. I bullshitted making a font for this because I was like, I could draw every individual symbol, or I can rearrange the alphabet and the first 26 numbers of the fucking letters, whatever it's called, algebraic, numeral, whatever stuff, and make something from that. Hence, we got ourselves a fake alien font I made. I put it in a font maker, and so now there is this alien font. So I don't think I don't know if I really talked about like what my film's about. I mean, I talked about it a little bit, I think, but this film is about a scientist who goes with his team. They find a planet. They decide they're going to start a space colony. So they go to the planet to start a space colony. They decide to send some drones down to see like what's up with this planet. They are like, okay, well, other than these gigantic like weird obelisk things with like alien writing on it, I think this planet can be used for like human colonization and whatnot. Oh, I was like, why is it glowing that much? I forgot that this is on AdGlow. They're like, we can start a human colony on this planet. Let's go do that. And they tried, and they don't succeed. And this film is about how and why. Rasterize that, and then take out this eraser. We're gonna just muff it up a little bit. We don't want to make it look kind of oldish. I've been like, whenever I've been drawing the obelisks for this film, here I'm pulling up a picture right now. I've always been giving them lines like that, so that's kind of like what they look like in the distance. But now I got these scenes where we're looking at them really close, and it's got like writing and stuff on it. So yeah. And it does actually say something. They'll like say what the message on these things are in the film. Like, you don't have to worry about that. If you're like, I'm trying to read it, Daryl, but you keep moving her around and it's hard to understand what it says. Just be patient. Be patient. You'll get there. This film's got like a little plot twist on it. There you go. I think that looks good. There. I want that with that. And then I also want to put some shading on it. And a little bit of highlight. But yeah. I have to give a presentation about this film Tuesday to my senior film project class. So my school isn't an art school. I don't go to an art school. I go to a STEM school. So their art program isn't as like intuitive or like as hardcore as say like a previous art school I went to, like SCAD. So they're very lenient with their projects, but they're like weirdly strict about how long they want us to make our animated films if we do an animation. They're like, animation takes forever. You can't do a 4-minute film. Your maximum number of minutes is 2. And I was like, can I do a 3-minute film? Because that's how long my film is. That's how long the animatic is. And they're like, I guess. So, here we are. Oh yeah, I gotta save this. The nice thing with my film though is I knew that I was like gonna be really busy this semester, so I kind of planned for like a lot of these shots to be simple. And I'm also doing like rotoscoping with some of this. And then we can see why I made this first. It's because I'm gonna do a nice cool dandy thing where this is gonna be on the screen, but it's gonna like zoom out to it. It's just trust the process. I have a process. It's gonna look cool. Trust me. Just get there. I'm hoping to get like most of the introduction stuff done for my thing. Actually, wait. Why do I have this on a separate layer when I could just? Do I have it saved? Hold on a second. No. Why am I going in the wrong folder? Hold on. Oh wait, no, wait, hold on, wait, I got a better idea. Let me pull up the, I use this as a reference. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! Could be one of those times where the, characters are just all completely static. Yeah. But I'm not the only person in my class doing an animated film. My professor actually told us that our class is more prepared for senior projects than his previous class was, which I guess makes me feel a little bit better that he feels that way. But I mean, none of us were also ready to give our presentations yesterday in class. But in our defense, he was like, you guys are going to be doing presentations about, like, your checkup for your senior project on Tuesday before we go to spring break, because we're not having class Thursday. And we were like, okay, great. So, because originally he wanted us to do it the week after we got back from spring break. And I'm going to Vegas that weekend. That week we get back for a wedding, so I'm not going to be there. So I was glad that he moved it up. So he's like, we're going to do that. And then on Tuesday, he was like, we're gonna start giving presentations Thursday. Which my classmates were like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, whoa, hold on. I can get a solid minute of film done by next Tuesday. You're gonna have to, like, slow down there, bucko. I'm also in the middle of making a video game. Like, please chill. And then, in class yesterday, we were working on stuff, and I forgot some of my work at home, which made me so upset because I was putting my film together, and it's going beautifully. And he was like, near the end of the class, he was like, how many of you have gotten your presentations done? And nobody has gotten their presentations done. And he was like, okay, we'll just do presentations on Tuesday. And I was like, why did you tell us that we were going to start giving them Thursday then? Like, come on, dude. Because me and a couple of people are like, we gotta, like, get some stuff prepared. You keep shortening the deadline, my guy. My professor's cool, though. He's chill. I like him. But it was just, like, really funny that he was like, okay, we're actually moving up the deadline. And I'm like, oh, hey, that works for me. I actually prefer that. And then he just goes, actually, we're moving it up even more. But it should be fine now. I'm pretty good. I have, like, I think 35 seconds of it currently in After Effects, and then I'm hoping to get, like, another, like, 25 seconds done. And that's, like, here's the thing, though, is, like, in After Effects, like, I have these edited by scenes, so, like, I have 1, 2, 3 completely finished, and then this scene to put in that file. Which alone is probably going to be about almost another 20 seconds. So, like, I can hit that 1 minute mark goal that I, like, made for myself. But, yeah, I just need the, like, time to do it. There we go. So it's like, give me the time, Professor, I can do it, I swear. I don't have the computer screen, like, directly on in front of it. I have it, like, actually, like, more off to the side. I put it there. There we go. Which, I spent all that time working on it, but we're not gonna think too hard about it. We're not gonna think too hard about it. This is, like, a static frame. There's, like, a bunch of I have, like, a bunch of, like, scenes in this that are just me doing a bunch of, like, little tricks. Because here's the thing, is whenever people work on their capstone films usually take a lot longer to make than a lot of time I'm given. And I'm sad about that. If I had more time with this film probably would have come out not only longer, but also, like, with more animation. But I think what I do have planned is really cool, and it's already coming out, like, really good. So I am excited for it. My hope, though, is that I'll actually, like, finish the full thing, and I'll finish the full thing without feeling like I had to rush on too much of it. I've had the idea for this thing. I've been working on the pre-production for it since, like, mid-2023, so that work better show through, or I'm gonna be upset. I don't know. I'm excited, though. Let's see. I've had people look at all my stuff for it, and my professor was really happy with the amount of pre-production that I did on my own. Like, getting the pre-production done before senior project class, because that's what the class is called, isn't super impressive, because we do have a pre-production class. But I actually didn't take the pre-production class, not because I didn't think I needed it, because I actually really wanted to take it. And I was so upset I didn't get in it. I didn't get in it because the professor in charge of the class would not respond to my emails. And by the time registration was open up enough that the class could get full, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to take another film class and get my minor out of the way. So that's what I did. So now I have a cinematic arts minor, but I had to do all the pre-production by myself, which is fine. But the thing I like about like at least like what I would have liked about it with like a classwork thing is one, I got people like looking at it as I'm doing the pre-production for it, and two, I wouldn't have to like feel like rushed with anything like I did when I was working on it. Like for the animatic, I was like December with like only like a part of it done, and I was like, oh god, I need to get through this, otherwise I'm not gonna have it done, and I'm gonna have to spend so much time on the animatic, and I really want the animatic done. And then I got it done in like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh okay, this is not as panic inducing as I thought it would be. That's gonna be a wireless mouse. Okay. Let's get this line art all edited up. Make it all pretty. Anyway, that's my senior project work stuff. Now for my other things. Having a pretty good day. I took my dog to the vet. She had to get her shots. And she had to get medicine because she's got a boo-boo on her face from being old. My fucking dog, I love her so much, but she is a pain in my butt. I went to take her to the vet's office, and so the thing about my dog is 17 years old. I have 4 dogs, but she is the oldest of the 4, right? So, I'm actually gonna make this computer screen bigger, but she's 17 years old, and she does not act like it. And she was in my car, and we were getting ready to get out of the car, and I was going over to the computer, not the computer, sorry, I'm looking at the computer, but I was going over to the door, and she climbed over on my seat, so I was like, oh, well, she could just come out of my car on my side then, since she's already in my seat. So I was telling her, like, I was like, you know, come on, Stella, get out of the car. And she looks over, she looks down at the ground, she looks up at me, and then she proceeds to launch herself out of the car through the air like she is jumping over a gap, and just lands on the ground in a floppy mess. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? And my car isn't that big. I have a smallish car, so it's not like a big jump. Like it pretty much is just she did not need to do that to herself. Um, but yeah, she got her shots, and she got some medication for her boo-boo on her face. And so I went and I took her and I got her a pup cup afterwards. Because she was a good girl and she deserves it. And I got myself a coffee. She's sleeping on my bed right now, too. I hope you guys are excited to see this as I am. I don't know when I'm going to be posting it when it's done. I would love to post it the day it's done, but there's a couple of film festivals that I really want to submit to. And I know some film festivals prefer if your like film isn't online anywhere before doing that, so I'm gonna have to look up the requirements for it. But like, I live near like Baltimore, so Baltimore has like Sweaty Eyeballs, which is one of the big animation festivals, and then I want to see what other ones they have to offer. I'm pretty sure there's a few more. But I would like to submit this to some festivals because, like, you know, you work on your like magnum opus of a school project, and then you're like, okay, well, I guess that's it. Like, I want to share this thing with some people, and I really like how it came out. At least how it's coming out, because it's not done yet. I would share a whip of it now, but I can't because the video file that it's located on is on my other computer. So I can't even pull it up to show you guys. But it's coming out good, I promise. It's coming out good. What I actually want with this is... I want to do some stuff with it. And then I want that like green color that I use. And put the hue. Is it hue or color that looks better? Yeah, it's color. Merge it with that. Oh wait, oops. Wrong order. Merge it with that, and then merge it with that. There you go. And then what we want to do, and here's the thing, is that mesh transformation tools are so good. There we go. Yep, that looks about right. What else? What else has been going on? Not much. Been working on In Harmony. Been trying to work on Not Quite Somewhere Else, but that hasn't been going good. Not because I'm in like a rut or anything with it, it's specifically because of school. I have to organize my priorities, and unfortunately, Not Quite Somewhere Else is not a priority at the moment. Like, I already had to cut gaming streams for the rest of the semester, specifically because, at least until like all my project stuff is done. Because I have like 2 projects. I'm working on a video game for a video game class, and then I'm also doing this. But like, once these 2 things are done, then I should be good. This should be done like sometime at the end of April, because that's when the deadline for the senior exhibition is, so I have like a full month before I graduate where this thing will just be like done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm sure there might be some other stuff I have to worry about in regards to the classroom, but in regards to this thing, not so much. Which is nice. It's nice. It's like, on one hand, I'm so excited to get this thing done. On the other hand, it's like I want this thing to look nice. It's like that weird combination of just like, I want to be over with this, but I also just like don't want to like rush it too much. Hi there, Izo. There you go, you got your hair in here. And now to get some more of these colors. Probably should have made a color key for the not the house, the ship, but ended up not doing that. Pair of shiny things. So next week, I am thinking of working on 2 in Harmony pages. The reason being because I think I mentioned earlier in the stream I'm going to Vegas, which will actually be next month's what next month's video is going to be about. If you did you guys see my ref sheet video? I made a video about making ref sheets. So if you want to make a better ref sheet, I don't want to make it say like I don't want to make it like, oh, your guys' ref sheets are bad. Go make better ones. I mean, like, for like ref sheets that are like not super readable and things like that. And like, I don't want to equate that with like bad art. I mean, I used my own art to make a quote-unquote like a bad ref sheet, but like the reason why I'm saying that stuff is bad is like it's specifically because of readability. It's not because of like art style or art preferences or anything. It's specifically because of readability. So I hope those help. If you needed some tips on making your ref sheets better, then it's like, there you go. I want to do more art tutorial stuff. Those just take more time. Like, I spent a whole day working on the art for that video. And originally, here's the funny thing too, is originally I actually wasn't going to do that. I was just gonna have like the speed paint and like use other ref sheets I've done as like examples. But then I was like, well, I talk about ref sheets on here that aren't like your typical like sit down for a couple hours or however long it takes you to make a ref sheet and you go and, you know, put that effort in and then done. And I specifically mentioned ref sheets that are like for primarily traditional artists and ref sheets for people who just don't really have the time to make like something fully fledged, or they wrong brush, have the like ability to go and make a fully beautiful realized ref sheet. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to make examples to show what I'm talking about, otherwise people are going to not understand. So hence why I made 4 separate ref sheets to show people what I am talking about when I talk about the difference between a good ref sheet and a bad ref sheet, and different kinds of ref sheets you can make depending on the kind of person you are and your ability, your like what material use you got, what digital art programs you got, etc, etc. So you can just like use that as like references, and if it's helpful for you, then I'm glad it is, because that's what I hopefully designed it to be. And if it's not helpful for you, well then I'm sorry you didn't get anything out of it. I always like complained about it. I just feel like when I say the words, oh, this is a good ref sheet, and like how to make good ref sheets, and versus like the one that I made that was like the example of the bad one, I don't want people thinking I'm talking about like an art quality thing. I'm specifically talking about a readability thing. Because it's like, if you're making a reference for something, you should make it readable. So yeah, if it's like, I'm hopefully it was helpful, and I want to do more art tutorial stuff like that. Like one of the ones I got in mind is learning how to use Clip Studio Paint's animation tools, and probably circling a little bit back to my vectors tools tutorial that I did last year, and talk a little bit about like how vector tools can help with your animation. But we'll have to see. Next month's video, though, is not going to be an art tutorial video. It's going to be another story time. I'm going to talk about going to Vegas, which the only reason I want to make a video about going to Vegas is because of my time as like a huge Fallout New Vegas fan. And it's like, it would be very criminal for me to like talk about being a huge fan of Fallout and talk about like all this Fallout stuff I did, and like Revelations Nevada, which is another big one. And then go to Vegas and not like talk about that. Like that's the mindset I'm thinking of. And my friend was like, well, you don't have to make a video about Vegas. What if nothing happens while we're there? And I was like, I'm gonna make a video about Vegas. I'm going to talk about going to Vegas. Which is funny because I'm going with my friend who was in Revelations, Nevada. So I'm like sitting here and I'm like, you should be one of the last people asking me why I'm going to make a video about going to Vegas for the technically second time, but really it's more than the first time. I have been to Vegas before, but like in a way that's like super like lame. That's like you might as well just not even count it. Which was so when I moved from California to Maryland, where I live, we passed through Nevada and we passed through Vegas specifically, and so we passed through Vegas, but we didn't stop. We just drove through the like this like highway that like drives through it. It like drives right next to the strip, so we saw like the glass pyramid, and like I could pull out my old camera for. I'll probably pull out my old camera for the video because I took pictures of it, but I just need to like pull it out and see if it still works. But I took like pictures of the pyramid from the highway. Hi, Judy. Hi. Hi, babe. Hi. That's my girlfriend, guys. Anyway, I took videos. I took photos of it when I first drove through it, but then I got invited to a wedding, and it's in Vegas, and so I was like, well, now I'm gonna have to do a Vegas video because I cannot spend like 4 years talking about Fallout New Vegas plus another like 3 years working on Revelations Nevada minus the fact that COVID basically killed that game, and then being like, okay, well, I went to Vegas for the first time, guys. I'm never like, that's it. So yeah, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to fucking make a video about it because I made that like my personality for 4 years. So I'm gonna have to do something with it. 4 or 5 years. Which is gonna be really funny when I go to Point Pleasant for the first time and be like, guys, I went to Point Pleasant. This is one of the towns that that Aria was based off of. Which is true, actually. It is true. Aria is actually based off of like a smorgasbord of like multiple West Virginian towns, and then like one town that's not in West Virginia at all. Judy, we'll have to go to Vegas. I'll tell you all about it when I go. I'm going the week after spring break. I'm going there for a wedding. That's why I'm going. And also because the hotel room got paid, so I don't have to pay for the hotel. No, I'm not gonna compare it. One of the things we are doing is we're going. I believe we're going to Hoover Dam. So I really want to do something funny, but I don't know what. One of the things is in community college, I took a 3D art class, and our final assignment was we had to make a plushie, and I made a plushie of my character Queso, who, let me pull up Queso for people who don't know who Queso is. So if you don't know who Queso is, Queso's my Legion OC. He was my very first Legion OC because I have a bunch of Legion OCs, but he is my first one and probably my favorite one. He is a rat man. He is also very funny because he has Fallout New Vegas lore, and he has non-Fallout New Vegas lore, but his Fallout New Vegas, like, his lore for Fallout New Vegas and his lore that has nothing to do with Fallout New Vegas is, unlike with, like, a lot of my other fan OCs, Queso is a pseudo Fallout fan OC who at some point stops being a Fallout fan OC, and no, it's not because the story gets rewritten. But this is Queso. He is my rat man. He needs a new ref though. This one is very old. But I made a stuffed animal of Queso years ago, and he and like I was like, maybe I'll bring that and like bring it with me to Hoover Dam if we go to Hoover Dam. But he's also kind of big. It's a big plushie. It's not like gigantic, but he's very much big enough that I can't just stick him in my bag. One, because I really don't want to bring my regular like bag with me there. I want to bring like a smaller bag. Um, if I can, but he's big. So like I'm thinking, and like I don't have like any Fallout New Vegas like merch. At most I got like commissioned art. But I'm thinking I have one of the things I do have is I have a Protectron. And for people who are not familiar with Fallout New Vegas, there is a character in Fallout New Vegas who is a robot named Fisto. Fisto, if I can find a picture of him, here we go, this is a better one. Fisto looks like this. This kind of robot that he is called a Protectron, and I have a tiny little, like, pocket-sized model of a Protectron. It doesn't look like Queso, it looks like the, like, Fallout 4 ones, which, let me pull up what the Fallout 4 ones look like. A Fallout 4 Protectron. Oh wow, this is exactly what it looks like. Hold on a second. Looks like this, right? So I have like a tiny little pocket-sized figure of a Protectron that looks like this, and then there is also a character named Fisto. So I'm thinking I'm going to get a picture of Fisto at Hoover Dam. And just send it. Like, one of the things I really want to do, and we're not doing it while we're down there because it's super expensive, also I think this one's done, so I'm going to start a new one, is I really want to go to Good Springs. But Good Springs is like an hour away, and it's like from what I understand, it's like a $200 lift. And that's just in like, I believe that's in, yeah, the Fisto lore is expanding. Did you know that Fisto was a key figure in the Battle of Hoover Dam? Honestly, going to Las Vegas might be the push I need to like start making those like, let me talk about my Fallout OCs for like an hour video that I've been like thinking about doing ever since I did that webcomic video. So yeah, that's scene 11, so now I need to get scene 12 done. Let me just make that real quick. But yeah, no, so I'm thinking of bringing that with me instead. I have not told my friend that I'm doing this, and I don't know if I plan on it, at least until we get there and be like, I brought Fisto with me to Vegas. Okay, yeah, so it's this one. Okay, yeah, so I'm looking at my boards right now, and I got 2 more scenes that I can do before I'm going to have to put a pause on this, because I need to do some 3D modeling for this next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scenes. Jesus. Okay. That's fine. Oh, wait, shit. I didn't mean to do it like that. Okay, hold on. Lovely. Yeah, I'm doing some rotoscoping with this, and I technically already have all my 3D models built. I built my 3D models for this film. I need to rotoscope them, but I actually need to animate the shots that they're in. So I have like one of these, like, you can't see it. Yeah. Okay, so let me, okay, actually, you know what, if I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me wait for the, okay, they're already in. Let me pull up one of my previous shots, because I already rotoscoped the shot, so. Pulling up one right now. Oh yes, and I still have the... Okay, we're gonna drag this all the way up. So I have these 3D models I built. And these are animated. This is an animated video. So the 3D models in the scene do this. It's not playing so good, but it's just coming in, right? Well, then what I did afterwards is I rotoscoped it. So I basically traced over the 3D models I built. There's some extra animation stuff I already edited this into the final film, but there's some extra animation stuff that also happens in this scene. But now, when I play the stuff that I did with the rotoscoping, it looks like this. So it's 3D animated, and I'm only doing like rotoscoping for like the mechanical stuff. because the mechanical stuff is harder to do freehand in 3D animation. And like, I can either rotoscope it. See ya. I can either rotoscope it and save myself some time and heartache, or I can do it by hand. And I can do it by hand. I've animated mechanical stuff by hand. I have a video from like years and years ago, like back when I was in high school, on my channel, where I animated GLaDOS. Like, I animated GLaDOS from Portal, but not like potato GLaDOS. No, I animated the big old robot when I was a baby animator from fucking. I have a speed paint on this channel of it, so you can go and watch me animate GLaDOS for a video. But I don't want to do that for this film that is due in like a month and a half. You see what I mean? So I can't do that. So and rotoscoping, like, if you are like building models for rotoscoping, like, that's not cheating. Like, somebody's gonna like come up and be like, oh, that's cheating because you're tracing. But I built the models. I went and I spent time creating those, and it's still my work. And also, like, it's a shortcut that isn't like it's a shortcut that isn't cheating. Okay. Let's get this guy animated. Or do we should do I'm gonna do the background first. Like, that's the thing with it. It's like, if, like, okay, also, everybody loves Lackadaisy, right? Did you know a lot of those background assets were rotoscoped using 3D models? That's a thing with Lackadaisy. They have tons of whip shots out there in the open for anyone to see that shows you, like, hey, look at these models that we rotoscoped. Like, don't let anybody tell you that don't let anybody tell you that rotoscoping stuff you built is cheating. That is my life lesson to any new animator out there. If you build your 3D models, or if you hire somebody to build the 3D models for you, because I know one artist who did that for like a movie he made. Like, if you hire somebody or you built your own 3D models to trace over for your animation, you're still animating. Because for one thing, the models are moving. I'm not like tracing over backgrounds like this. You know what this is in the background? This is this thing over here in the corner that I'm referencing. I have a 3D model of this built on Maya on my other computer, because I have Maya on my other computer. Not using Blender for this project. I do have Blender on this computer though, but I had this thing built in Maya for me to rotoscope, right? And I built the model, but the model's not animated. It's just built. And I go in to Maya when I need a shot, and I make a new shot, and I pull in that model, and I animate the model to do what I want it to do, and then I make the film, and then I trace over the film. And then I do all the other stuff. But like this, I don't mind freehanding this, because this is just a background that's static. And like, you could, for like singular images, like, I don't mind just like freehanding it and doing it the hard way, because it's like, I still think it's good practice to be able to like learn how to draw complicated stuff without having to like rely heavily on like referencing things all the time, just because I think it's a good skill to have. However, if you're going to be drawing the same thing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times via, I don't know, backgrounds in a comic, or backgrounds in the comic, or an animated video, especially if you're going to be animating something super complicated and hard in an animated video, then you do not want to have to do all that work all the time over and over and over again. And especially if you're on a deadline, there you go. Like, I probably wouldn't want to be working on this project at the quality that I'm working on it on if I was not allowed to rotoscope my 3D models. Like, if I was like, I can't rotoscope my 3D models, those animated scenes would come out so bad just because I would not want to put in the work for them. But like, I could put the work in for them because it's easier. It's a lot easier. It saves me time. And it's not like this whole film is me rotoscoping everything. Like, I'm freehanding the background for this right now. And like, I know nobody in here was like accusing me of cheating or anything. But it's something I'm passionate about because it's like there's a certain part, and it's usually people who are not in the art community, or if they are, they're a vocal minority of people who are like, you can't use references or brushes, or like, you can't trace your 3D models because that's cheating. And it's like, I'm not pulling up like fucking, like, I don't know, Mozart was Mozart was a fucking musician. What am I on? I'm not pulling up like a fucking like Van Gogh piece and tracing over it. Like, I'm tracing over stuff I built that I made. Like, there's like a complete difference, and it's like, especially for people who are like impatient and they're like, ugh, you're chasing models. Well, are you also sitting here and like, do you want me to get the thing done or not? Like, as long as I built the models, or it's like, for a lesson for all you newer artists out here, for people who need to hear it. As long as you built the models, or you have permission to trace over the models, there is nothing wrong with tracing models. You do not have to worry about doing a bad thing. I promise you, it is better to trace your 3D models and make your life easier than not trace it and be miserable. There's a difference between being a dirty art thief and somebody who is using a tool that is available to you to use. Like, be worse, you could be generating AI art. Which I would say is the example of, oh, but you can't use AI, but what about AI art? Isn't AI art just like the same thing? Well, here's the thing with AI art, is that the art that AI art uses to make its stuff, wasn't stuff that was in there, with consent. So that's the major difference. Thank you very much. There's like a whole debate about whether or not AI art can be considered art. Like, I feel like art is subjective enough that that's not really a helpful argument to make. However, there is like a ton of other arguments you can make to why AI art at least should not be like as prevalent as it is now. Like, funny enough, just before stream, I actually had to go on my iPad because my iPad updated. And Apple went and downloaded a AI art generator onto my iPad. Because I guess that's a thing they're doing now, is they made that, and I went ahead and I deleted it off my iPad because, like, I don't need that. Like, I have Procreate Dreams. I have art hands that make beautiful art. I do not need your crap app. Get out of here. You could try to be Procreate Dreams as much as you want, Apple. You never will be. Fucking hate AI art. My school had like a big ol' scandal with that last semester. That was very interesting. It's still kind of an ongoing subject at my school, but now like talks about it are gonna be, they were supposed to be last month, but the time that they picked for it was very inconvenient for like most people who wanted to be there, so they switched it to a free period for next month. But like, essentially what had happened is what had happened was we had, so some of my professors do use generative AI, which luckily none of the professors that I've had classes with use generative AI. I had one professor who submitted a video to sweat the eyeballs, though, that was all generative AI, and that was not received highly by a lot of my peers, but I will say no more than that. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't had that issue with any of my professors, but minus the one, but not like in a classroom issue. But there was one professor who did a project, and a part of the project was that concepts had to be generated on a Gen AI engine. And, like, from what I understand from the professors who do this, is some of them give you the option to not do it because, like, why? But a lot of people ended up doing it, and what they ended up doing, which was really weird because this was, like, a step for a bigger project, was they hung it in the hallway halls, which was really weird because, one, the assignment, that was, like, a portion of a bigger assignment that they had to do. But also, why would you in your art... Now granted, my school is a STEM school. However, if you're trying to get students to join your art program that you've been investing more money in these last, like, couple semesters, why would you want one of the first thing that upcoming art students would see to be a piece of generative AI art? So that was the thing. And here's the thing is, I didn't even know that art existed because it was on the first floor of the building, and then my classes that semester were on the first floor, and they were not in that part of the hall, so I had no reason to actually, like, go down there. And I probably wouldn't have even noticed if this incident didn't happen, but somebody was pissed off enough about it to... What they did is they took... So these pieces were hung up on the walls on clips. They went and they took, like, one of each of the clips that were hanging the pieces up, so they were hung all crooked, and then there was, like, this, like, rubric that was written in like, what it looked like charcoal. On the, like, they written on it in charcoal, and they just wrote, AI is art. And that was it, right? Which, okay, fair enough. Like, I don't like AI art, and it's like, yeah, like, I agree with you. I personally don't consider it art. You do your thing. But that's not the thing that caused, like a huge scandal at my school last semester. What caused the huge scandal at my school was how the head of the art department, basically how he decided to talk about it. And, like, I do also want to preface this by saying, like, he did apologize for it afterwards, but at the time it pissed so many people off what he said. He didn't realize, he didn't realize, like, at the time, like, why he shouldn't have made this comparison. But the comparison he made at, when he made it, was he considered, he basically was like, censoring AI art is the same thing as Nazi Germany and Stalin, because they censored art, and they had, and, like, Hitler had his whole, like, degenerate art thing going on. And people were pissed off at my school. And, the guy who's, like, the head of, the talks about, like, using AI in the classroom, because he started, like, it's not like a student union, but it's like the closest thing you can get to, like, it's what I would call a student union, if it, but that isn't actually a student union. It's like a pseudo club. Like, now, like, some of the professors are also in it, but he made, like, a whole server about it. But he's the one who's mostly in talks with, like, the generative AI stuff, because he's very, like, active at the school. He's a chill dude. But he went and he talked to the professor, and he was like, hey, so, you picked the worst comparison to make, and this is why. And he was like, oh, okay. And but like not as like deadpan as it like that. So, but essentially, like he went and he made like a week later he made this like huge apology email. He was like, I didn't really realize like how fucked up of a comparison that was. Really sorry about that, and like other stuff in the apology. It was a good apology. It was fine. And the reason why it took so late is because they decided they were going to open up specifically to students. They were going to like do like a whole organized student group about this issue. And like they handled it pretty well and like stuff is still going on with it, but that was like the the generative AI scandal at my school. um and like I'm planning on going to like when they do the like big old conference for that. That's not going to be until April, though. I do want to go to it because I think it's important. I know I'm graduating this semester, but like I think it's like an important discussion because like Gen AI fucking sucks and I hate it, and I don't think it should be in a classroom setting because that does not. I go to arts. I'm going to school for art specifically because I want to be better at art and I want to use the skills I learn to like make a living doing something I enjoy. And Gen AI, and the way it currently exists now, takes that ability away from me. It does not let the artists thrive, it just lets corporations thrive. And it lets them, like fire people. It cuts away a lot of jobs that are not just, like, artist jobs. It's also for voice actors. It's also for, like writers and a bunch of other different positions that could have been filled by a group of artists. So not only are you taking away people's income, you're also taking away like a whole group of people who are going to school for this one specific thing. And it's like, it's a huge issue. And like, I'm glad that they're like, because what my school could have done could have been very easily could have just been like, oh, sorry, you liberals were triggered, haha. But no, they're very good about it, which I'm glad that they were, because that would have been like incredibly fucking disappointing. Especially since like I heard that SCAD, which was the art school I went to for a semester, I guess it started offering generative AI classes, which I'm like, oh no, but yeah. Really funny that the STEM school's the one that's like more open about like talking about that than just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna make the AI degree now, which is, I don't think SCAD has a generative AI degree, but I have no, like, I would not be surprised if that was like something schools decide to start offering because of that. Well, yeah, time to touch up this background a bit. Oh, I don't know what the floor to look like. Oh, I did mention, I think I mentioned like briefly, I'm going to be working on 2 pages of InHarmony next week. Or the week of spring break, not next week. So the week afterwards. The next page that I'm going to be working on is page 20. Which, by the way, if you want pages 2 weeks early, you could subscribe to my Patreon, where you get 2 pages 2 weeks early. I think the newest page that came out is like they're out of the classroom now, so it's now the stuff that happens after the classroom, which is great. But I'm working on page 20 next, which is about the halfway point for chapter 3. Chapter 3 is 41 pages. Here's the thing. I technically already also finished, well, not all, I haven't finished them yet. I still have to touch them up, but I technically have finished 2 pages of InHarmony. I'm not going to say what pages they are. They are close to pages, they are close to page 20. Not going to say what pages they are, though. And there is a reason for that. It's a little surprise, but it's something that I've been wanting to do with InHarmony when I first like started working on it, and that is mixing mediums. And so I have a couple pages of InHarmony that are traditionally drawn. I just scanned them. I have to edit them together because the things I drew them on was too big, so I have to like collage them a little bit together, but it should come out fine. What else did I do with them? I have to collage them a little bit together. I have to do some color correction. I have to put the text on there because I didn't write the text in by hand. The text is still going to be digital as a readability thing. There's that fancy word I love so much again. So that's going to be a thing. But if you are excited to see some new art and you want pages of In Harmony as early as 2 weeks, I do have a Patreon. So you go follow that. But what else do I have going on? Yeah, I'm very excited to finish this chapter. And I don't mean it as like I hate working on this chapter. I'm just so excited for chapter 4. Chapter 4 is like the chapter that starts the plot for season 1, in my opinion. I would say like the way I've been like mentally like thinking about like chapters 1 through 3 is chapters 1 through 3. Why is this being stupid like this? Oh, of course. Okay, hold on, I'll fix that. Chapters 1 through 3 are, in my opinion, the chapters that kind of like those are the chapters that set up the story. But those aren't the chapters that set up the story for season 1. Those are the chapters that set up the story in general. Chapter 4 is the chapter that sets off the story for season 1. Because In Harmony... Okay, so In Harmony is set in seasons because In Harmony was supposed to... I originally had the idea for this to be like an animated thing, but like animation takes forever. And like there's like a lot of stuff that like I ended up messing around with and changing specifically because originally I was thinking of animating it before I did the before I just went with a webcomic. But like the plot for season 1 was originally supposed to be like a plot. So like when I wanted to do In Harmony is like the big thing, but I was like, man, I really want to do this as like an animated thing because I love animation, but that takes time and money and it takes a while. And so I had the idea for a smaller story based around Ingrid called The Stein Case, which is actually, if you look on my if you look at my Patreon, I have that as like a comic goal I want to do. So when I start making $100 a month on Patreon, my dog is barking. When I start making $100 a month on Patreon from like all the people who are patrons, give me a quick second. I'm gonna go BRB just to check to see what they're barking at. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, they were just barking at nothing because they're dogs. Anyway, when I start making $100 a month on Patreon, I'm going to make this a like comic reward that I'm going to be posting just on Patreon at the moment. But originally it was supposed to be animated, but it was called The Stein Case, and it was specifically about Ingrid, and it's like in chapter 2. And sorry for spoilers for people who have not read In Harmony yet, but in chapter 2, when Ingrid and all of Pacific's other friends are talking about like the monster hunting stuff and like this is why it's not like why we're not BSing, this is what happened, yada yada. That stuff, that's what The Stein Case is essentially it's Ingrid being like showing her first year of school in Aria, because she's already been in Wicca for 1 year. Is first year of school, and she's like, oh yeah, me and my boyfriend both got into the same school. This is so cool. Oh, and it's in West Virginia. That's even cooler. I like monsters. I'm gonna do like videos and stuff, and like just like record things, and maybe I'll catch like Mothman or something. And then not realizing that monsters actually are in Aria. And so then, like, that becomes, like, her being like, holy shit, I just ran into, like, a monster and stuff. Cool. Awesome. And it would also be, like, how she and Meredith met, because she already knew Joel because her and Joel were already dating, but like how she and Meredith met, because I already had that figured out, and like how like why they became friends, and then the lead into with that like one scene where they're talking about like this is how we got dragged into the monster stuff. It's because we also ran into a monster, and we had the exact same questions as you when they were explaining it to Pacific, and I wanted to do like a comic about that. Well, originally I wanted to make it like an animated show, and I ended up not doing it because that wasn't the original plot for the Stein case at all. The original plot for the Stein case was actually the plot for season 1 of In Harmony. I can't, because all the stuff that's very specific about like what the plot of season 1 of In Harmony is about has not happened yet. I can't really go into too much detail, but I will say my original plan for the Stein case back when I was going to do that as like an animated prequel thing to get people interested in Harmony, and then maybe I could use that to like fundraise to make like In Harmony an actual thing. I was working on the story in my head for the Stein case, which we'll call it that for now, but in this case it is the plot for season 1. But I was working on the story for the Stein case, and then I got to a point with that story where I was like, this is super interesting, but like this is super interesting and really cool, but also like at this point there would be no reason for Pacific to be there, and I got this whole other storyline for Pacific, but this is also super interesting. So it's like, why don't I save this, like, because I was already having some of the plans for season 1 of In Harmony, which a lot of that stuff is like in like the first bit of this comic. It's like a lot of it's in chapter 3, and there's some other bits in later chapters that will show up. But like I was coming up with this really cool storyline for the Stein case, as well as like the smaller story stuff that ended up being the like stuff they talk about in chapter 2. And at a point I was like, why don't I just use this storyline for the first season of In Harmony, and save the other stuff for like the stuff that they use to try to convince Pacific that like, oh yeah, monsters are real, help us go look for them and, you know, prove it. And I'm honestly really glad I did do that, because it's led to me like for later writing stuff especially to like figure some things out, and I think it was like a good choice I made. The only issue is that because we have not started chapter 4, or gotten a point into chapter 4 where I could like talk a little bit more in depth about it, all I can be like is like, yeah, trust me guys, it's gonna be so cool. Just you wait. Just you wait, guys. Ah. Oh, yeah, I forgot that box. He's standing on a box. Oh, my old lady. She's all conked out. I had to take her to the vet, and now she's just snoozing away. Snoozing her old little heart away. She was so annoyed with me this morning. I had to. I got some videos edited this morning. So those will be posted throughout the week. All of the rest of this week and into next week. Instead of What a Prompt, because I don't have a video ready for What a Prompt. I gotta edit some of those, but also because I don't want to post too much. So it'll get a little pause for now. I can't post something every week, but I have a bunch of prompts ready to go. I just need to make the videos for them. But yeah, since I'm gonna be in Vegas, I'm gonna do 2 pages of it in Harmony this week. So that'll be nice. Not this week, upcoming week. I already got this week's page done. But it's a 2-parter page, so I'll be getting 2 pages done the week after next week. Which will be like next week is like in a couple days. It's Friday, so. I'm sleepy. I'm tired. I'm not getting off right now. I still got like a lot I want to do. No, I went. Oh, my back. Oh, I just cracked my back. I just got stuff to do, guys. Look at some messages really quick. Have to check my game server for the game I'm working on. It's not my idea. It was another classmate's idea. So I'm taking a class that's like it's technically like 2 classes in a trench coat. It is a game design class, but it is a oops. There we go. There we go. We'll work on the guy who's on the box first. Anyway, it is a game design class, but it is a game design class that has 2 classes in one. One of them is a that's my dog. One of them is a programming class for computer science majors, and the other one is a art class for art majors. So it's like 2 different groups of people. So I'm like taking class with a bunch of people who I don't know and a bunch of people who I do know. Actually, I'm gonna use his colors for reference for this because I never made a reference for these suits, but whatever. Yeah, anyway, so the art people will do like the art for the classes and the like games, and the programming people will do the programming for the games. And like with my class, sorry, my dog is just distracting me. So with my class, what we had to do was we all had to pitch a game, right? And we presented the games, and then the professor picked which of the games got to get made into prototypes. So we would have 10 teams of like 2 artists and a programmer, and we would have to build a prototype for the games that were assigned. And so my game didn't get picked for the prototype. I pitched a like story-based game where you're playing as a corrupt detective who is assigned a like case in a house where someone got murdered at, and he gets stuck in the house with the suspects, and he has to both figure out how to escape and also find out who killed the guy in the house. And it very much is an ACAB game. The name it has is I do want to do something with the story, because I originally was going to do something else with this, but then I thought it would make a fun game, but then it didn't get picked, so. But the name of the game is 1312 Icarus Lane, so I'm going to turn that into something eventually someday. I don't know what yet, but I'll do something with it. I don't really want to like give spoilers about it, but it was very much my fuck cops game that I guess the professor never really actually like considered, which I think is so funny, but I'll have to make it someday. But It didn't get picked, and the only reason he didn't pick it was he said that like the ideas he liked the concept and it was shortlisted, so it could have gotten picked. It just wasn't because he thought the other ideas would have been better, to get done in the period of time that they were required. Which I try to make mine like pretty simple, but I guess it wasn't simple enough. But yeah. So the game I got assigned on for the prototype is a I did something I think it's really funny that they put me on this game for two reasons. One is because back in high school, I pitched a game with the exact same concept. Not for similar reasons, but basically the same concept. The game I pitched was about a child going through the 5 stages of grief, and this is kind of similar to what that game was, except this game is a 2D platformer. My game was a 3D VR headset game, and it was also in first person. So your character was kind of like whoever you wanted it to be, and so this game is coming out pretty cool so far. But we did the prototype for it, and my group actually was one of the groups that got picked to make the fully completed game, which is really cool. I realize these spacesuits are just basically like big old pajamas, but God, why is my dog being like this? But yeah, so we're prototyping the game. So I've been working on that. I got the role of producer for it, and I got the role of producer for it, and I got backgrounds. I've been working on backgrounds and designing our first level. And then one of my classmates, I gave him the second level, and so I got like 2 people helping me with backgrounds, because now we got a bunch more artists. So I pitched the idea that the other artists, and then of course the lead programmer, who the lead programmer was the one that pitched the game. But I pitched the idea that because we had to like split up into like leadership positions for this. So we have a lead artist, a lead programmer, a producer, and a game designer. So I pitched that we should have me, the other artist, and the programmer all take a leadership position, specifically because we were on this game for the prototype, so we would understand better like what the vision for this game is, and we can convey that easier to like everybody else who is not here since the beginning of making this game. And that's what ended up happening. So I got producer, the other artist got lead artist, which honestly works out great because I love telling people what to do. And the programmer who made the game, she took the game designer role, and then and one of the new people, he took one of the new people in our group, he took the lead programmer group, which works. It works out. Like, everybody's got their task. We've been sprinting. My programmer, the game designer, I guess I'm gonna call her because now I mentioned that she's like the lead game designer. But the game designer, she was like, "Are you sure this is like the amount of hours you could put into this work? It's like a lot of hours you said it's gonna take you to do this." And I was like, "Trust me, this is an overestimate. It is not gonna take me this many hours to do this. I am just overestimating it because there is a possibility that it could take that amount of time, but it's also more likely that it won't even take that amount of time. I'm just putting some hours in here, so we have the limit and something that I have that makes a bit of sense. So we have to get 2 game levels done in We have to get 2 game levels done in 20 days, which is quite a bit to do, but I like working. So, as you can see. Oh yeah, wait, I need to duplicate this one. Duplicate that. And then put that one in the 3rd spot. Because then his arms go down, and then the next one he lifts up. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get the next one done before before the stream is over, because I do have to go off around 5 because I have to talk with my mom about the vet stuff with my dog. But I'm hoping I could get most of it done, because because I'm probably not going to work on this for the rest of the night afterwards. I'm instead going to get some of Not Quite Somewhere Else done, because I would like to get a mid update whip out, just so like people can know that I am not dying on this project. It's just life is killing me at the moment. I would like to get that done, and I would like to work on game stuff, so that way my group mate does not have to like be like, "Hey, are you sure you could do all this? This is a lot of work." And it's like, well, we have 20 days, so I think I can do it. We will see. I already got one of the things on my list done. I got that done last night, and I got the okay for it, so could be worse. Could be worse. I do have to go to bed a little earlier though tonight because I have work in the morning. But yeah, I got this one's video done this week, which is nice. And then the next one for 4. Which we're just gonna draw over. My very impractical spacesuit designs. They're kind of like wetsuits. These are not practical for space. I imagine, like, for these suits, these are, like, for, like, planetary travel, at least for something that has, like, a similar atmosphere to our planet. So, like, would work on this, probably doesn't if you want to take, like, a very, like, scientific look at it, but I'm not going for super accurate. Anyway, I imagine these would be more like suits that they would wear for planets like this, where like the like air pressure is similar and the like air might not be breathable, but it's like it's more about what's the word? It's more about like keeping things from being contaminated and from keeping things from being contaminated and keeping, oh god, what's the word? Keeping everything sterile versus, like, you know, hey, I'm from this other planet. Oops, I just brought a disease this planet has never seen before onto this planet. Well, I guess everything's dying now. Okay, bye. Like that. So, that's kind of like what I think these suits would be for. And they're gonna be on, like, a spaceship, so they don't really need, like, the big, heavy suits. They're like, this is safe enough, we could do this. Which is funny, because space travel is not safe at all, but this is a sci-fi world. Because I already have, like, when they're on their, like, little, like, building things, like the thing that I had over here earlier, that these things in the back are, they're, like, kind of like pseudo, like, landing pods, and also, like, kind of like the space version of an RV slash lab. They're just, like, that's where they do their research, that's where they sleep and eat, like, that kind of stuff. Also, this lake would be back here a bit more. Well, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm just gonna redraw that instead of trying to lazy my way through it. There we go. And hold on, wait. There we go. Hey, there's our doctor. Okay. Now let's hide this for now, because we still got one other guy we gotta animate after this guy. God, I'm so glad I work at opening shift tomorrow. Like, normally it's like, ugh, opening, you gotta wake up so early in the morning, and you gotta do opening stuff. I get to go home earlier, which is nice. I do work a 9 to 5 the next day, though, which is not as ideal, but it's okay. It's fine. I am currently in job hunting hell right now, so it is, it's not great out there right now, guys. I'm lucky enough that I at least still have a job, so it's not like I'm dying for a job at the moment. And my job is pretty good. I'm trying to get something with my degree, though. Now that I'm graduating, I need to get, like, you know, something that pays me more of a living wage than my current job does, because my current job, with the state of everything, doesn't give me the hours to justify, it doesn't give me the combination of salary and hours that makes my job even remotely a roommate having job. So I have to go and find something that is suited to my degree. And I'm hoping to try to find at least something before I graduate, but I only had one police call me back, and they recently told me that I didn't get it, so... I mean, I technically had 2 places call me back, but the first place, which is not the one that told me that I didn't get the job interview, that place was a fucking scam, so I didn't do anything. I like applied to them, and I was like, well, if I get this position, I can make it like a part-time job, because it was like a combination of like really shitty pay, and it was like below minimum wage for Maryland. But it was like, oh well, my degree works with this, so maybe I can get this. And then they got like the thing that was like the first red flag is how quickly back they got to me, where they were like, yeah, we want you. It was like literally the next day after I applied. But they wanted me to do like a test first. And like the test that they promoted itself was okay, because it was like, well, you can use this for the test, and then you can also use this for future like portfolio work if you need to. But then I went to go do the test that they gave me, and the position that I applied for was not on the test. But the position that the test they wanted me to do was a generative AI test, which I did not apply for. So I opted to not do it. Because I don't do AI. And that was not at all the job I applied for. So, yeah, I was like, that's not even worth it for that salary you guys were offering. Like, that salary, the salary they were offering, like, at the high end, was probably about how much I made. Almost as much. It's a little bit more than how much I made last year at my job. My current job. However, they wanted me to work full-time hours. And I mostly work part-time hours at my current job. So, full-time is like full-time hours for like maybe a couple thousand more dollars in pay. But like looking at like what some people were saying about the job, they probably would have paid me even less money than what they were offering, or at the very least offer me get me to work for like the lowest amount of money they were offering for that position. So I was like, that's not worth it at all. So I just never did anything with that job again. It was a scam. It was a scam. It was very much a scam position, which was very unfortunate, because they did call me back. They did get back to me about that. But don't you know, get a job, get paid what you're worth. That's what I'm saying. It's like, my job is offering me, like, my current job offers me just about like as much, almost as much money as like your highest end offer for this position that I'm pretty sure you're not going to give me, and I'm doing less work. So yeah. The other one that I did get, at least for the first round of interviews for, that one was really cool. I'm really bummed that they didn't let me that I didn't get it. Granted, it was for like a advertisement company, but it's like their program was legit, and the like people they work with were like big name people, so it's not like it was like a startup or anything. So that would have been really cool to have gotten. I've been applying to more places. I'm trying to apply as much as I can. But like, I'm also almost at like submitting 100 applications this year. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, how does this look? Okay, I think I want to add another frame. Okay. That's better. Doesn't look as jerky. Ugh. I'll be planning on streaming a lot during spring break. Don't know when I'm going to be streaming next because I do work every day next weekend. I do get off early Thursday though, so maybe I'll slip in a Thursday stream. I'll have to start like it really depends on like my family's schedule too, because I like streaming when my parents aren't home. So we'll see how that works. But if it works good, I'll see if I can stream next Tuesday. I won't make promises that I will. I mean, I could also stream next Monday. I'm hoping to stream like quite a bit. I mean, if I stream next Monday, I can see how much I can get done before I have to like put it into my film. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'll make an announcement about it before it actually like happens. Okay, actually no, that's not looking right. I want him to do that thing where like you put your arms down, and then they just kind of like wiggle a bit. I'll have to edit that a bit with the vector tools. That's one of the reasons why I love vector tools with animation so much, is because you could just do stuff so much easier. Aw, two of my puppies are just conked out. Absolutely fallen asleep. Oh no, one of them's still up, but she's just kind of laying there. JJ, I love you. Okay, there we go. I also have another animation assignment I have to work on for that class, so if I do a stream Monday, I might just work on that. I'm mostly at the coloring stage for it though, so I could even get it done next class, but it's very dependent on how that works. Because I have a motion graphics class, but we're like animating. That's the one nice thing about it though, is I'm learning more stuff with Adobe After Effects, which I haven't had a class that's taught a lot of Adobe After Effects stuff in some years, so it's nice. There's some really good stuff Adobe After Effects is for. Most of it I could do in Movalve in Clip Studio Paint. I wish Movalve did have Puppet tools though, because I'm really enjoying those in Adobe After Effects. Go, he's lifted the arm up a bit, so that has to lift up. Lift that arm up a little bit. Now that I got that ref sheet video done, I could start working on that that Game of Thrones video again. Get a little bit of that done while I'm waiting for next month. Because I can't start the script for next month's video. I haven't been on my Vegas trip yet. So, you know, can't really do anything about it. So yeah, I can get more of that one done. The only issue with that one is I haven't had time to write the script for it. I've gotten some of it done. I still want to talk about season 8 Game of Thrones. Get that video done so that way I can figure out what I want to do for my next media analysis video. Because there's like a couple I'd like to do. I have like a small list of media I want to explore, and specifically like what about that media I want to explore. It's just very dependent on like my mood and like what I want to do. Cause like I want to do some about podcasts, I want to do some about books, I want to do some about other TV shows and other video games. Like I have one that I did make a note of, which is I want to talk about John Seed from Far Cry 5 and like an analysis of him. And like kind of like at least my view about his character and like what I think about with his character, because just like, you know, gushing about one of my favorite characters of all time, and just like this is why I really like this character so much, even though he like all the time we know him, he fucking sucks. And like the general pain about just like every time I see stuff people talking about this character, it's always like romantic bullshit, or just like, you know, the general fandom bullying, which that man does deserve to be bullied. But I'm like, he's so much more, he's such an interesting character, and it's like I want to see more stuff that's like fits like I want to see people like have like actual like analysis about this character. But again, I have to like go and write that. Bring up stuff in the Book of Joseph, because my theory with like my thing with John Seed is like I think John Seed could have been like, because that's John's whole thing is he's not with like before Joseph found him, he was not a bad person. That's like my one big thing with him, is he was not a bad person before Joseph found him. And I think a lot of the issues that happens with him, especially in like the game and this stuff, is like I think Joseph kind of resents John. I think Joseph resents John in a way. One, because John is technically part of the reason their family ended up kind of getting split up. And, like, that's more of, like, Jacob's fault than John's. But then also it's because, like, John becomes, like, this pinnacle of stability when Joseph and even Jacob, like, both, like, really struggled a lot after they all were separated. And Joseph was homeless, but, like, Joseph also, like, made his own fucking mistakes, you know, like, murdering his daughter. And, like, I find John Seed such a fascinating character as well, because he's just, like... I'm pretty sure if you gave, I'm pretty sure you could easily get him to switch sides over if you gave him a hug and told him that people like him, not for his money. That and like he's such a like interesting character, and I'm like I want to write a video. I want to make a video about like why I find him so fascinating because he's such a piece of shit. He's such a piece of shit, but I like him as like a character study. It's like if your circumstances were completely different and you and your brothers did not like go like do this stuff, I want to see the kind of person that you could have been. And like one of those options could have been dead, because that certainly was like what he was trying to do, was like going through like all the motions of like suicidal ideation before Joseph found him. But at the same time, it's like I wanna see what this guy could have been like if he found his brothers and did not join the cult. And did not like co-found a cult. And there's like some fix with that. There was like one that like one of my mutuals that I met back in like my Far Cry 5 days wrote like a really good it was a Sharky x John fic, but it was really good. And it was like a similar premise where it's like they do move to Hope County, Montana, but Joseph doesn't start a cult. So like John's like a lawyer living in Montana, and Joseph does like community youth group shit or whatever. And it was very good. That's like my crack ship for the game. I just think they'd be such a funny couple. But yeah, I have to like, I can probably pull up the list I got of like other things I wanted to like do like media analysis videos on. Let me see. I have like a whole list of stuff. Ugh. Cracked my back a little bit. That's the wrong channel. Here we go. Let's see. I don't need this anymore. Yeah, I wanted to do one about I wanted to do analysis about Malevolent, and specifically like its themes about like hope, which I think are really good, especially for like such like Malevolent would be such a is like the setting for Malevolent is such a like smorgasbord that's like ripe of like grimdark material. You could make like the most grimdark shit with just the setting for Malevolent, and I think it's very interesting that like Harlan Guthrie writes Malevolent to be like the opposite of that. And that's something I would love to make like a video about. I also want to do one about the Sheridan tapes, specifically like the way like about like compulsive heteronormativity. And specifically about like a couple characters in it, like Kate Sheridan and Bill and Kate's husband Peter, and like Bill's husband Rob. If you've listened to the Sheridan tapes, you probably understand like specifically like what I'm gonna talk about in it. If you haven't, it's really good. Go listen to the Sheridan tapes. It's a very good show. Very underrated. Okay, and then what else did I have? Yeah, I wanted to do one about John Seed. I do want to do a video recommending a bunch of webcomics I read. I know Star does a like webcomic recommendation on her videos. I haven't finished watching her newest video, so I haven't seen what the webcomic she recommended this month was, but I don't want to do something like that on my own videos for like a webcomic recommendation. One, because that's her thing. I do podcast recommendations, and it's not like a copycat thing. It's also like part of the fact that like I don't read as many webcomics. I don't read a lot of webcomics to justify it. It's like podcasting is my thing, and I do like whole videos for the podcast stuff. So I'm satisfied making that my niche, than jumping in on the making like here's a webcomic I read. But I do want to recommend a bunch of webcomics I read, because I read some good webcomics. So I think it would be like cool for like, because I like to make December themed around In Harmony, because that's when I started In Harmony, is in December. So I think it would be like really cool to do like a gigantic like here's a bunch of webcomics I read, because I work on In Harmony, so I'm gonna recommend some webcomics I read, and I'll tell you guys why I like them, why you guys should go read them too. And so that way I can like be like, here's my recommendation for webcomics, but I don't have to like do like a whole like series about it. I could just do like one video. And then that way, if I don't have anything about In Harmony to talk about like in a future year, then what I can do instead is I could just like make another webcomic recommendation video. Yeah. But what else? Another one I wanted to talk about is I actually want to talk about a character from Chad, which if I already recommended that podcast before, but Chad is a Fallout 76 podcast. And I wanted to talk about one of the characters in it, whose name is Susie. Susie is like one of the main protagonists. She is this like little ghoul girl. She's very violent, and she's got like a demonic doll who is very annoying, and I'm so glad that she is currently not in the podcast, and I very much hope that she stays gone for a while longer. Because I just cannot stand that character. But ignoring that, I wanted to do an analysis about Susie, because it's like something that's like I've seen it touched up in fandom, but like I've never seen it like really written before, of just like a character who is like because here's the thing about ghouls is ghouls live for a very long time and they don't age, and Susie is like a kid. She's technically like in her 30s, but because she's a ghoul, she's been like stuck as a child for years, and she still acts very much like a child, but she also wishes so desperately to be able to grow up. And it's like it's I really like how it's like written in the show, because it could get weird. Thankfully it never gets weird. But yeah, it's just something that is like really written interestingly in the show, and I would very much like to like make a video about that, just because I find it like very good how it's written. Wait, oops, did not mean to do that. Okay. And then I want to... Okay. And then back to 3. Back to 3. And then I want to put it back to 3A again. And then put it back to 3 again. That's physics, baby! Okay, and then he'll just go straight to being like, yeah, I did it. Okie dokie. Yeah, I got about an hour left. Oh yeah, and I haven't saved at all since I started this. I should do that now. Another one I want to do is I want to do one about Far Cry 6 ending. Because I did play Far Cry 6 is the only Far Cry game besides Far Cry 5 and Far Cry New Dawn, which is like a sequel to Far Cry 5. Is the only Far Cry game that I've played. I know the endings for 3 and 4 at least, but I'm probably never going to play 3, and I do have 4, I just never gotten around to playing it. Far Cry 6 is a good game. It is a good game until you get to the very end of it. I did not like how it ends, because here's my thing with it. So in the Far Cry fashion is Far Cry gives you Far Cry typically does not have like a good ending. Like all the endings are like kind of like bittersweet in a way. So it can be like, oh yeah, your character meets their goal, like they stop the bad guy, but at what cost, right? Which Far Cry 6 does technically have that ending, but it does something that I really fucking hate that it does. And that involves stuff with Diego, and I'm going to go into Far Cry 6 spoilers for anybody who's watching this who cares. So what happens in Far Cry 6 is like, okay, so you're playing as Danny. I play as the girl Danny just because girl Danny pretty. And what happens with Danny is, so she's working for this like lady whose name I completely forgotten. I'm gonna have to, it's been a couple years since I played Far Cry 6, so I'm gonna have to like look it up later. But she's working for this lady who's part of the Libertad, and you have to help the Libertad out with you know, fighting against Anton, right? And she and like she's like this like character, and she's like super cool and stuff. I forgot what her fucking name is. Hi babe. Yeah, I'm talking about woman. Anyway, but yeah, she's this cool lady. And like at one point in the game, so like the game is a lot like Far Cry 5, where you have to like go to these separate areas and you have to like take down the people who are in charge of those areas. But there's like these like missions that you have to do in order to like unlock the like final quest. And you unlock these quests as you like are clearing out these areas. So it's a very interesting way for how they mold the story together by taking the stuff from Far Cry 5. And the one thing I do like that they do, that Far Cry 5 doesn't do, is that, unlike Far Cry 5, which will like drag you out of like whatever you're doing at the moment to go do quest stuff, Far Cry 6 lets you do it at your own pace. So you'll get this like mission that's related to like the main storyline, but you could go do it whenever you want to. So yeah, when you finally beat the final boss of like whatever area you have to clear out, and you get to all of them, and you know, beat that. Oh, what's this song? Oh, okay. When you do that, you get this like one quest line. You have to like sneak into this place, and it's because the leader, like the resistance, got captured or whatever. You gotta go like get her out. So you sneak in there as like an officer, and Anton already knows that you're fucking showing up to go save this lady. And like his whole thing is he's like, Danny, you're a badass and my son likes you for a reason. I want you to be my new general because you killed all of my previous ones. And so yeah, so Diego's there, and they're playing this as like an assassination. So they're like, we're gonna go save I think her name was Garcia. I have to like look it up really quick. Hold on a second. Her name is Clara Garcia. Okay, so Garcia is her last name. Yeah, okay. So you have to go see Clara. You have to go save Clara. And so Anton's there, and he basically has you sit down. He's like, we're having dinner. And he's like, I want Danny to be one of my new generals because Danny killed all of them. And Diego is there as well, and Anton's there, and there's this other dude named Juan. And like, I liked Juan all the way up until this fucking mission. So, so, okay, I'm gonna have to take a step back because I forgot to mention one thing. Is like, there's one other thing this game does that I didn't really like, is that they basically introduce a storyline that's like so like minuscule the way they present it, but then they like make it seem like a huge fucking deal at like the like end of the game. So there's this like previous resistance that led to the eventual dictatorship that's run by Anton, and what a couple of the people you have to like help are like ex-members of this resistance, and they like talk about a previous member of their group who had died around the time that this resistance was happening. And this guy was like a huge hero, but what ended up happening is he got mad with power and he was going to become a new dictator, so they ended up having to kill him. And it's like seen as this like huge tragedy and kind of like part of the reason why when Anton started doing this thing, they didn't get back together to fight because they didn't want to have the same thing happening all over again. And they like, you know, they give you this as like, they basically tell you this story over the radio, and you're having this like conversation with them. And it's seen as like such a like a minuscule thing in the grand scheme of things, but like as like just like extra character flavor and stuff that like puts a lot of stuff into context, which is really nice. Except for the way they decided to present it, right? Because it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to have for like character writing. They basically make it seem like it's not something you have to worry about. So then we get to the main quest line. And Juan's like, I'm gonna go shoot Anton. And Danny's like, but Diego's right there, don't shoot Diego. And Juan's like, fuck Diego, I know he's a 13-year-old kid, but he deserves to die because he's Anton's son. So, Danny goes over to, like, make sure that Juan's not gonna fucking shoot a child. And, he ends up shooting, and I don't remember everything that happened, but in the conflict, Clara got killed. And, so then Danny's, like, continuing the whole, thing. And they're like, Danny, you're being just like this one resistance guy who got mad with power. You're getting mad with power, Danny. You can't keep telling us no. We should be allowed to kill this child. And it's like, I'm like sitting there watching this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And like, Danny's just like sitting there like, whatever, man. You're not allowed to kill this baby boy. Diego is a good bee, right? So then they get to like the whole resistance thing, and they're like, Danny, you're such a great leader now. You have to be the one in charge of this like final push into the city. We're gonna kill Anton. Right? Final push into the city. They go over to where Anton's at. It's just Danny who manages to get there. And so yeah. So it's the thing, it's the final showdown. There's no fight. Like, there's no boss fight with Anton. Anton is there with Diego. And he's pretty much just accepted that he lost and that he's going to end up getting killed. And so he's like with Diego. And he's like, hey, you're gonna make sure these guys don't do... So part of Anton's backstory is that his father was like the previous dictatorship from like that the resistance first resisted against back when he was a child. And what happened to him was he basically got put into like a prison slave camp when he was 13 or 15. It was somewhere around that age with his mom because his father was a dictator. And he was like, you're not gonna let them do what they did to me when I die and they kill me, right? You're gonna protect my son. So here's how I thought the game would have taken this story route. Because Far Cry usually has like 2 endings, right? Minus the third like funny one. I thought this route was gonna go in one of 2 ways. One being, Danny's like, haha, no, Anton dies, and then Diego gets put in a prison camp, and the cycle repeats. Eventually, like, Diego's like, kind of like, Diego ends up swearing, like, I will avenge you, Danny, I thought you were my friend, fuck you, I'm going to get revenge someday. You know, setting him up for another cycle of becoming a dictator like his father. Or, the other option being, Danny being like, yeah, I'll protect him, and then the resistance getting wind of that and being like, no, Danny, you have to kill the child. And then Danny being like, no, I'm not going to kill Diego. And then your own friends turn on you because they think you're turning into a power-hungry dictator. And then the game ending with like either Danny dying, saving Diego in the end, or Danny and Diego running away to America before paralleling the beginning of the game. That's how I thought that would go. You know what the game does instead? So the Anton is like, oh, Danny, you're not gonna make sure that these guys are going to do to my son what happened to me as a child. You're going to make sure my son is safe because I know you guys are friends and you get along and you want him to be safe. I literally saw you risking your life for him multiple times. And Danny is like, yes, I will do that. The game does not give you a choice. Danny is like, I'm going to protect your son, and I'm going to make sure he is safe. And then Anton's like, you're a liar. And then he shoots his own son, and then kills himself. So Diego is dying. Annie runs over to grab him, and she's like calling people on the radio, and she's like, oh my god, I need you guys to get up here, I need help, Diego is dying. And Juan on the radio is like, who fucking cares? And then Diego dies. And then they get up there and they're like, oh, Anton's dead. Good job, Danny. You killed them both. And then Danny was like, you guys can figure out how to run your country by yourselves. Fuck you guys. Because they're like talking about electing Danny as like leader of Europe. That's the name of the country Far Cry 6 takes place in. And then she picks up Diego's body and walks away. And then we get like a cutscene afterwards, and she's like, well, Juan, we did it! Yara is free! And it's like, that's the ending of Far Cry 6? Are you fucking kidding me? You had something, and then you fumbled hard with it. You fumbled so bad with that ending. You had such a strong storyline with some intriguing-ass characters, and you fumbled. And it was like you could have easily have started a like conversation there, and then you took the easy way out by being like, child murder, okay, yeah. This whole thing that you're talking, this whole setup that you have about the cycles of abuse, what are you fucking talking about? We never did that. We want to talk about how it's okay to kill children because fuck character development. Am I right, guys? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, why? Why? You could have done something so good. Anyway, I want to make a whole video about that. About my point, about like, okay, this is what Far Cry 6 is about. Yay! But yeah, that was like my Far Cry 6 one that I really want to do, and I do want to do a whole video about that because there's so much more I could put about it. I want to do a whole video about the Silverses. The Silverses is going to be a little bit harder though because there's like so much to talk about in the Silverses, and it's like I want to mostly talk about like the themes of like religion and capitalism in it, but like just there's so much to talk about in the Silverses. And then, do I have any other ones? I had like a video about media literacy, but I don't know about how I want to... I had a video about media literacy too. I haven't even done an analysis video on Far Cry 5 is the thing. I don't know if I would do a Far Cry 5 analysis, because I said, well, okay, for the game in general, I already said I will have one planned for John Seed. Specifically just John Seed, but like my thing with like analyzing, like doing analyzing stuff is like I want it to be about something specific about what I'm analyzing instead of just like in general. With Far Cry 5, I specifically want to analyze John Seed as a character just because in like what I find so intriguing about him despite like how gross of a person he is. And yeah. But I want to do one of the Silverses and maybe some other ones. I'll have to see. But like those are my only two planned Far Cry ones. But like that ending for Far Cry 6 made me so mad. I have not been disappointed in an ending of a video game since Dead Island Riptide. I'm not saying Dead Island 2, because, okay, here's the thing about Dead Island also. Specifically Dead Island 2 and Dead Island Riptide, because Dead Island 1 is a very good game, but with 2 and Riptide, Dead Island Riptide gets very bad near the very end of the game. Like, the quality of that game completely drops when you get to a certain point with it. Dead Island 2 is just bad right off the bat. Like, okay, it's not bad right off the bat, but I knew the game was not received very well, since the beginning of it. Like, I would say the beginning is a little bit interesting, but it tries to take too much stuff from Dying Light that does not work in the case of Dead Island, and it just kind of writes a it's a pretty crappy story. I have never live streamed Dead Island though. That's the thing. If I was gonna do video analysis of games, it's gotta be games that I'm like, there's gotta be something I want to talk about in those games. Like, I wouldn't do an analysis video on Dead Island just because, like, the issues with Dead Island and not Dead Island 1. Other than the fact that the game didn't age the best, but with the issues with Riptide and Dead Island 2, Riptide is very easy. It's just they pretty much rushed the end of it. They should have taken some time to flesh out the ending of that one better. Dead Island 2, 1, I don't think should have been a Dead Island game. Or at the very least, they should have made that game like take place anywhere other than where they made that game take place. And 2, the issue with Dead Island 2 is Dead Island 2 doesn't feel like a fully finished video game. It feels like a prequel to another video game they want to make. Which, honestly, was not a good choice to make. 1, it ends on a cliffhanger, and it very much ends where it's like, we want to do a lot more stuff with this. Especially now that the apocalypse is in, like, LA, and I don't know if it's around the world, but it's at least in LA. Because they do like a bunch of stuff. One thing they do is they like randomly out of the blue introduce a girl who's supposed to be like the universal like random character who shows up only near the end of the game, but a character who is supposed to be your like the zombie apocalypse cure, who we've never met before. This like whole plot point is not brought up at all. They bring in like zombie cult stuff. For people like the main characters from the first game, well, the first game in Riptide, because they're the same. The main characters for Riptide are also the main characters from the first game, but the main characters from the first game and the main characters from the new game, who are also like, you know, we find out are also immune to the zombie virus and things like that, and it's like, you're throwing a bunch of interesting stuff, but you basically made a prequel to another game you want to make. That's what Dead Island 2 feels like. It does not feel like, well, okay, I say that. I say that because I don't remember if they contained it just in LA, like, in Dying Light, they contained it in, like, I forgot what the city's name was in Dying Light, but they contained it in, like, one city. The first Dying Light. The second Dying Light, it's a worldwide apocalypse, but in the first Dying Light, they contained the zombie virus in one city. And so that's what I mean by with Dead Island 2 is I don't remember if they made the game if they contained the zombie virus in LA or if they went and they it spread it everywhere. And also, here's the thing with Dying Light. I'm thinking of Dying Light and Dead Island, because I believe both games were made by the same company. So I said earlier that like Dead Island 2 tries a lot to be like Dying Light, but here's the thing: is it gets rid of like, at least mechanics wise, it tries to make itself be exactly like Dying Light, while also retaining all the stuff that made it Dead Island, but the mechanics from Dying Light that made Dying Light fun are not in Dead Island. And instead, they try to put dying light mechanics in a game that was not supposed to have dying light mechanics. So now the game does not. So now the game has these unfun mechanics because you did not put in the mechanics that made dying light fun. Which I'm talking specifically about, like, the parkour mechanics. Because that's, like, the one thing with Dying Light 2. Is, like, Dying Light 2, I hate the story for Dying Light 2. That game is so much fun. I would gladly play that game. If the game wasn't such a glitchy mess, I would gladly play that game just to run around and do small missions in zombie areas and stuff and just explore. Because that game is so fun to play. But the storyline for that game is horrible. Like, maybe that's a video I should do, is I should talk about, like, zombie games I've played, and be like, let me talk about my zombie games, and, like, all these zombie games, and, like, which ones I like, and which ones I don't like, and why I do like them, and why I don't like them. I could do, like, because, like, I played most of the Resident Evil games, I've played both of the Dying Light games, I've played all 3 Dead Island games, I've played both of The Last of Us, I've played some, I've played some other games. I would not count Outlast as a zombie game. I'm trying to think of any other horror games I played that have zombies in it. Yeah, no, really, it's just those ones. I played Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 zombies, so we can talk about that. What else have I played? What other zombie games have I played? I played Minecraft. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna make a note about that. I want to make a video talking about rating all the zombie games I played. I'm gonna make a note about that. There is a Walking Dead zombie game. I've never played it before. I have seen a Let's Play of it. I might add it to the list, but I have never played it before. Well, there's multiple Walking Dead zombie games, but there is the one that is the Walking Dead game that is good is the Telltale Walking Dead game, where about Clementine. I know there's one about Michonne, and then there's also another one about Daryl, but I don't think the Daryl and Michonne ones were good, from what I heard. And frankly, if the Michonne one is based off the comics, it probably wasn't, because I hate how Michonne is written in the comics. Oh yeah, that's another one I have to, like, put down in there, is, like, my Walking Dead video. I did want to do a video about The Walking Dead. But, like, The Walking Dead was a series of comics that got adapted to a TV show that also had some games adapted from it. The show is fine. The show is fine. I used to be a huge fan of the show, up to a certain point. The show is fine. My issue with The Walking Dead show is that The Walking Dead show AMC just hates queer people. I would be making that's like, because that's like the thing is, I really want to do a Walking Dead video. That's like that's why I've been calling my White Whale video, and I've been calling it my White Whale video because of, like, how big of a Walking Dead fan I used to be. I mean, like, I'm still relatively a Walking Dead fan, just not as much as I used to be. But but like, my thing with doing a Walking Dead video, and I call it my White Whale for a reason, is because if I were to do a Walking Dead video, I would have to watch 11 seasons of a TV show, like 3 or 4, also on top of 3 or 4 spin-off shows. On top, and I'm not gonna do anything with the video games because that's, like, Telltale stuff. I'm specifically talking about AMC Walking Dead TV show, not the games, not the well, I am gonna talk about the comics because one part of it is I want to do a comparison of some of the stuff I'm talking about with the Walking Dead comics versus the games. And I have not read the Walking Dead comics in a while. So I'm not going to say too much stuff about the Walking Dead comics at the moment, but one of the things is AMC's The Walking Dead does not like queer people. That's one of the things I'm going to say. They had their first lesbian couple in the show, and then, like, very next episode, they killed off one of them. And then the other lesbian character gets a new girlfriend, they kill her off as soon as they possibly could. One of the characters who in the comics, his husband gets killed, and then in a time skip, he gets a new boyfriend who I believe it was Jesus who is his new boyfriend. I could be wrong, and I might be wrong. That is why I have to reread the comics. So take this with a grain of salt. I could be wrong, but he dates another man afterwards. In the show, from what I understand, is they wanted Jesus and Daryl to get together. AMC decided not to do it because they thought the fangirls would be pissed off that Daryl would date a man. And then Jesus's actor wanted to leave, so they killed off Jesus. In the comics, Jesus is a gay man, and I'm pretty sure he's polyamorous, and because in the time skip, he has 2 boyfriends. That is something I'm pretty sure he does. I could be wrong. I have to look it up. But even if I am wrong about the polyamory part, he is a gay man. So, in the show, his sexuality is not really a thing. Yes, there's a character named Jesus. Jesus is not his actual name. They call him Jesus because... Okay, hold on. Let me look up a picture of him. Okay, actually, this one is really good because Jesus is also in the Walking Dead game, and he's also in the comics. So, this picture has all 3 images of him, but this is what Jesus looks like. So, comics, TV show, video game. That's Jesus. Jesus is not his real name. People could just call him Jesus. They call him Jesus because, one, he kind of looks like, white man Jesus, and because he's, like, he's a very helpful guy. He's very nice, very helpful. And so it's like, they don't call him Jesus because he's actually Jesus Christ and he acts like Jesus. They call him Jesus because he's just like a good Scimitarian. But yeah, he was supposed to get with Daryl in the show, and he has a boyfriend in the comics. And I'm like 80% sure he gets 2 boyfriends in the comics. And he's dating 2 boyfriends, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I have not read the comics in years. So, that could just be me not remembering my Walking Dead lore correctly. But he is a gay man. And AMC is just allergic to gay people. And like, I specifically am thinking of, oh yeah, okay, so Jesus' real name is Paul. And then this other gay guy, his name is Aaron, and he has a husband named Evan, I think, and then Evan's the one who dies. And Evan dies in the comic and in the show, but then Aaron gets a new boyfriend in the comics. But in the show, he just becomes a single dad. Never brings up the fact that he likes men again, as far as I remember. I have not watched the final season, and I've only seen bits throughout the other seasons. But, like, yeah, it's like AMC is not beating the allegations of being allergic to gay people in their zombie show. And I am never going to forgive AMC also for being like, oh yeah, Daryl Dixon is asexual, but we're never going to explore that. We're never going to talk about that. We're just gonna Daryl is going to be perpetually single, except for this, like, one stupid storyline where it's like he actually had a past relationship with a woman. And anytime these 2 characters are on screen, they got, like, 0 chemistry with each other. It's like, my guy, why are you doing this to this poor man? When Daryl's had more of, like, a romantic relationship with Jesus, despite the fact that the 2 of them are not canon in the show, than he has with this random woman who just, like, shows up one season and becomes an antagonist. And they try to make it angsty. It's bad. It's so bad. And I do want to watch the show because, like I said, I've only seen it in bits. I have not seen the whole picture. So, like, I could have a changed opinion when watching it. I don't know. But from what I've seen so far, it looks really bad. And I just very much want to know, what does AMC have against gay people? it's so like, I don't know. I'm very curious to know what their fucking mindset with that writing all that is. Like, either one of their main writers has to be like really homophobic, or they think their audience is really homophobic. They even had like at one point. Now, granted, I would not call it polyamory. Well, actually, I would call it polyamory, but I would not call it. I would not. It technically is polyamory, but it's not polyamory in the way of like a polyamorous relationship would work. I think is that like after this one other massive time skip that the show has, one of the characters, Rosita, finds out she's pregnant, and she ends up co-parenting this kid with like 3 separate people who all act as like this kid's like dad. Yeah, but here's the thing about it is like a lot of this is like so this show became huge in like the early 2010s. It would have not killed their ratings if they had done it with later seasons. Like, by the time that they were introducing more queer characters into the show, like having queer characters in like adult media was not as taboo of a thing as it would have been like 10 years before. Anyway, but what was I talking about? I was talking about another. Oh yeah, time skip stuff. Yeah, they have like these like character named Rosita, and she ends up co-parenting her baby, who she had with her like ex-boyfriend, whose name is Sadiq. Who, what happened with Sadiq fucking pisses me off, but that's another thing. Co-parenting them with Sadiq, who is the baby's actual father, but she and Sadiq broke up, and she ended up dating Gabriel. But Sadiq and Rosita had slept with each other so soon before they broke up that Rosita still got pregnant, and her relationship with Gabriel was new enough that the baby was not his. So the baby was Sadiq and Rosita's. And then this other character named Eugene, who's always had this like huge crush on Rosita throughout the show, he was like, we're gonna raise this baby, like, you guys, like, because there was like some drama stuff going on. I forgot what it was about. Like, I think it was like between like Rosita and whatever, but he was like, we're gonna raise this baby. This baby's gonna be raised, and he's going to have 2 dads, and you guys are just gonna have to co-parent it, because there wasn't like the relationship drama was very much just like, oh my god, I'm having my ex-boyfriend's baby and I'm dating another dude, like, what's this gonna do with my relationship, kind of thing. Yeah, I know, exactly. Like, it's like if anything, I think their woman, they're like, cause like the kind of female characters, not the female characters, sorry, the kind of the female like viewers of The Walking Dead are very much the kind of people who would have been like super happy to write gay fanfiction about Jesus and Daryl, even if they made them canon. They would have been like, I need my babies to get together. I want my gay ship to be canon. But yeah, nope. AMC was like, nope, gay jail for you. Anyway, but yeah, no, like, Eugene's like, get over your petty heterosexual drama. We're raising a baby together, and then like, yeah, this kid just basically has like 3 dads until like one of them dies. And Rosita is just like, Eugene, we're not in a relationship. Please stop trying to be a parent. Eugene's just like, I'm gonna be a fun uncle, but okay. Yeah, that show is a mess. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about with it, but the stuff with Sadiq pissed me off so much. I'm like, you can't write that kind of storyline for that character and then have it end like, the thing with the storyline is I hate how much of like an afterthought that they put so much effort to it and then they treat it like an afterthought to have it end just like that. And I'm like, so yeah, one baby, three dads. Like, come on, one baby, three dads. But the thing, except that they knew who the father was. They knew who the father was for the baby. So like, it wasn't like that. It was just like, oh well, it was just like personal drama. It was like the kind of like drama bullshit that's just kind of like this drama only exists because it exists in your head. You need to like get over yourself. It was like a whole thing about it. But yeah, that's like a video I want to do someday. Yeah, it's my main character for my film. He's in a space outfit. His name is Dr. Aphon. He's voiced by the J-Corn, who, if you guys do not watch What's Left of Us, a tabletop RPG podcast actual play show that does a new live show every Friday. At the end of the month. Well, not every Friday, sorry. Not every Friday. The last Friday of the month. Jesus. You guys should go watch it if you like actual play shows. It's very fun. It is probably my favorite tabletop RPG show to watch because I just love how the chill vibes are, and I just love how fun it is. But their DM Jay, who, if you want to listen to What's Left of Us, you can find the show under his YouTube at Jcorn, or the Jcorn. He is voicing this character, and he did a great job, and I'm very excited to show you guys it. I've been sending him like little updates every time I get like a good chunk of film done, because I told him I'd do that. So I sent him one. About like the fucking monolith thing I drew, and he was like, "What is?" His reaction made me laugh. Probably because like every time I've drawn the like the obelisks, I haven't actually added color or anything. Well, I haven't added words to them or anything, but like now that I'm like I got to like parts of it with like the actual size of the things, like they're massive. I just always draw them at a distance because I'm trying to show like what the thing looks like, but like they're supposed to be like huge. It's great. But yeah. That's who this guy is. He is talking about his space trip. I think what we'll do is I'm going to finish this frame, and then I'm going to call the stream here once I finish it, and we'll see how it works. Because my mom's going to be home soon, and I need to talk to her about my dog's vet stuff. And my dog is sleeping on my bed still. She's zoinked. She's had an exciting day. She got to have a sweet treat. She got her shot. She got 2 shots, and she had to have medication up her nose. So she's got all of her shots taken care of. So now she can go to my job again. Because there was like a hot moment where she couldn't go to my job because her shots weren't updated. I'm gonna have to give them the paperwork so they can let her come back. I try not to bring Stella to work anymore, because she's so old, and the only thing she really likes at my job is that people give her attention. But like, she's very much like a dog who would rather be at home than at work. So it's good for her shots to be updated, obviously, but like at least with the updated shots that my job requires for dogs to have, Especially because, like, if there's an instance where I have to put her to board overnight. I think your ref sheets are fine, babe. I mean, yours are fine. Um, I would have to take a look at them again. I'd say the only thing that your ref sheets would probably need is like a side-off color palette, but like you do flat colors. Like my ref sheets are like I say in the video, my ref sheets are like very bare minimum. I just put like tips and tricks and like things that are like things that I see that are common like mistakes that ref sheets people who make ref sheets do. There we go. Okay. Let's play out for a little bit and see if there's any mistakes in the effects. But my back. But yeah, I think yours are pretty good. It's like common mistakes I see people with ref sheets do. It's supposed to be for beginners. There's some stuff I forgot to add up here. Stuff that's supposed to be for beginners. Stuff that I think stuff that I'm like, this is things you probably shouldn't be doing in a ref sheet. Stuff that you should keep in mind and things like that. But like I think yours are pretty good. Yeah, they're fine. Like that's my thing with the I say in the ref sheet video too is that you don't need like a beautiful, amazing ref sheet. It has to be just something that you can use to show people what your character looks like. Okay. Oh yeah. Damn, which one am I missing? There you go, that one. There you go. Yep, he pulls his boot up, he puts his arms down, they wiggle, and then I want to do a slight pause on that. Yeah, I want to do a slight pause. I'm gonna move these over. There we go. There we go. That looks better. Look at that guy. Okay. I gotta animate the other dude in this. But that's gonna be all I'm gonna do for today. Because I gotta go take care of my dog stuff with my mom. I got to... want to go use the restroom. But yeah, no, it's been about almost 3 hours. So, yeah, that's really it. Thanks for coming to watch. If you haven't already, I did a ref sheet making video, so if you want to get better at ref sheets, you can go look that. I would appreciate it. I will be streaming again. I'm going to say Monday, but if I don't make an announcement for it, it might be next Friday. I might do Monday though because I do work Friday, so but I work in the morning. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably be streaming a lot during spring break though because I have 4 days off that week, spread out through that week, and I could just use that to just keep working on this. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for coming by, and I'll talk to you guys later.